Hey man, say man, it's the Greater Podcast, second episode of 2021. I'm gonna say 2020.
We're out that year.
Yeah, we're definitely out
We're
that
done with
year.
that.
Ramen.
Please. It's Moses here. You know,
It's
Go
Gabe,
ahead. Go
Gabe
ahead, bro.
on the mic.
It's Sam.
Yeah.
young Charlemagne.
Like,
Oh man, we have a special guest here. As you guys know, Remi's still on his personal hiatus, so we're bringing on more guests to, I guess, liven up the pod.
switch
You
some
know what I'm
things
saying?
up.
Switch some
you know what I'm
things
saying?
up.
That's
Get
right.
some familiar faces, some new faces. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is a friend of the pod. This is actually her first time on the actual pod.
Ooh.
I know.
She's, everything.
Damn,
one
that's
thing about
crazy.
us is everything happens in due
girl's
time. You
funny.
know what I'm saying?
Whatever.
The Lord's timing is amazing. And if
Or is it really Moses' timing?
it's a group.
It's a group thing. It's a group thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
We all gotta agree.
understand.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
true.
Yeah.
But this is an amazing person here, and it's not only she's not here just by surprise. It's a special month when you're listening to it. Is March. With that being said, March is Women's History Month.
Yes, sir.
And of course, it's a month where you recognize the women of course, the past, but also those that are doing. I think it's good to give people the flowers when they're alive. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, even with my allergies, I can still smell them.
And, no COVID.
No COVID.
No
Praise
COVID.
God.
But it's Women's History Month. We're bringing on some of our beloved friends onto the pod.
Yeah,
And we
one
have
of one of my best friends.
Yes.
Yeah, my closest people.
Gabriel.
I'm gonna kick it over to Gabe for the intro.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm saying? We go way back, like Cadillacs on Four Flats. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
We used to do Urban Disciple together as a
Oh,
blog,
yes.
what
You
I'm
know you're
saying?
still
We was dropping
saved in my
that.
phone as Urban Disciple.
Look,
Likewise.
Really? Yeah.
yes, sir. We used to drop that heavy content, boy. Put your head top, and now she's moved on to Niger Girl Talks, and she used to be the sneaker bandit. She still be copping. You know what I'm
Still
saying?
be copping.
Sneakers
Defund
app.
the sneaker app, okay?
You know what I'm saying? Sneaker app fiend. The one and only Olamide.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want a different alias. You can go ahead and
Well, I said Olamide Ayanda, but really Olamide Ayanda. But yes, thank you for the nice intro.
girl's
I am
funny.
the host of Niger Girl Talks podcast. Check
Yes,
it
sir.
out. And I used to blog at Urban Disciple, but now it's olamideayanda.com.
So drop the
Whole
Niger Girl
website.
Talks at name.
Oh,
And a
Niger.
little what do you call it? A little whatever they call it. The
Trying
little
to-
brief.
trying to-
A little
Give
bit.
us a brief. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so you can follow Niger Girl
Synopsis.
Talks
Okay.
and Niger Girl Talks on Instagram. And basically, it's a podcast community that basically interviews Nigerian American women, first gen and second gen, and basically explores the intersectionality of being Nigerian, but also being born in America and how culture clashes in different aspects, whether it's body shaming, being single after 25, graduation woes.
Tough one.
Even I want to do one interviewing fathers eventually that are raising Niger girls.
Wow.
So just basically having convo that I have with my friends, but record so everybody else can hear it. And we try to basically inspire people to have these convos amongst their friends and not just because some topics are taboo in the Nigerian community,
Yeah.
and they need to be talked about. So
Definitely.
just basically like redefining the Niger girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Dang.
good.
I might have to start Ivory Coast Boys Talk. You know what I'm saying? Or Rwanda
Not
Boys
that
Talk.
many of y'all,
You know
bro.
what I'm saying? It's not.
Hey,
Not that
yo.
many of
In
y'all.
this area, you know what I'm saying? Y'all kind of run deep. But
Yes.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here.
The tribe is strong.
We
You know what I'm
here.
saying? I'm
Niger
strong.
to the world.
Yes, sir.
But you can also like pitch to other people across America and do Zoom interviews.
That's true. Yeah, we're trying to get our tech up so we can, incorporate that into
Yeah,
podcast.
Man. Hey, look, man, donate when you can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's
Donate
take a
with
Donations are always open.
let's take a brief, intermission.
Come on.
If you're
Commercial.
watching this on YouTube, you know what I'm saying, or listening to it on SoundCloud, no, not SoundCloud, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. This ain't free. You know what I'm
It
saying?
sure ain't.
It's from the love of our hearts, and we're trying to upgrade a lot of things. So if you're watching, donate to that Anchor support page. But anyways, back to regular scheduled program. You know what I'm saying? We got
Yeah,
Olamide here with us. And I know from your podcast, because I do listen.
I know you
what
do.
I'm
I
saying?
thank
I'm
you.
a supporter. I'm a
Thank
friend.
you.
I don't even remember the first time I met Olamide. It was probably around the same time I met Nicole, which is another good friend
Yes.
of mine. And I could actually say, like, these are very, very, these are like some of the, I guess, women that introduced me to this group of friends that I'm with now. So they played, I guess, a pivotal part in that. Nicole bringing me around.
Early days of DH.
Yeah.
Oh.
DH.
The early
I
days
don't
of
know
Moses.
about that.
Dang. Early Mo.
You know what I'm saying?
Early
Hyundai Mo. You know what I'm saying?
Young
Screech.
Screech. Hey.
But back to your pod. You know, we know that you do this thing called The Gist and talking about what's going on in your group chat. So, you know, us guys, we have our guy group chats.
Yes, sir.
We don't
Absolutely.
necessarily know what goes on in your group chats. You know what I'm saying? We can only speculate and, you know, think about it. But let us know. You know what I'm saying? We need that perspective.
So before we record, I was saying to the guys that I don't really have that many like all girl group chats. I have like co-sex group chats, but when I do talk to my friends on FaceTime, what we are talking about is like I turned 30 last month.
30-30.
30.
But clean in
And
Jesus' name.
Worthy
You know what I'm
30.
saying? Worthy 30.
Gabe
Worthy
calls it
30.
worthy
Youngest-
30.
We
Dirty.
We Christian
My-
as a mud.
Dirty?
My friend calls it flirty 30. So I have like,
Flirty 30.
Oh,
Who you
okay.
flirting with?
don't worry about it.
Hey,
She's
man.
single,
Hey,
y'all.
hit her-
Hey, man. say
Hit her
that.
line. Hit her line.
DMs open.
Show notes.
So I was talking about like since turning 30, I've experienced like a peace that I didn't have in my 20s. Like, you know, when you're worrying about getting married, what will I eat, what will I wear, where will I work? Since turning 30, I just been at peace. You know, like the pressure to get married is like, girl, whatever. It's like, you know, the pressure, like where you live, whatever, like God got it. It's just a weird peace that like I wish I had experienced in my 20s. So I'm talking about that and just I'm transitioning into I'm moving. I'm moving in 2 weeks to Georgia. So
Whoa, hold
Yeah.
up. Is this a 3:30 exclusive? Like,
Right.
has this been...
We did not talk about this before.
yeah, I've just been telling people like here and there, but I'm moving. So
Wow, Atlanta, Georgia, or just Georgia?
45 minutes from Atlanta, Georgia, but you know, like, yeah, it's not that far. But you
Dang,
know,
the dirty South. Dirty 30, dirty South.
It
Yeah.
just makes sense. You know what I'm
So
saying?
I
Careful
just-
out
The
there.
year of the dirty.
don't got
The
corona.
year the dirt.
Hey,
Nah.
dirty.
Don't got corona out there.
What?
I was helping.
Happening.
I was helping our boy Olu move out to, you know, wherever he's at, Georgia. But this man, when we were out in Atlanta, masks are not a thing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, southern, the Midwest, they don't really.
It's like
They look at you crazy
They look
when
at
you
me
wear masks.
crazy.
Yeah, when you
I
wear
went
masks.
into a gas station because I had to use the bathroom. We drove down there, and I was like, "Yeah, can you guys have a bat?" This man handed me, you know, the keys that they have.
Yeah.
To give for you to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
He had no mask. Nobody in there had a mask on. Just hand me the key. I'm like, yo, it's COVID. How you just gonna hand me a
Right.
bathroom key?
Fearless, bro.
I mean, what
That's
did you expect?
somebody else's-
Or you want him to just open it for you?
No, I'm just saying, yo, you know where the bathroom's at? And he gives me a key. I'm thinking he's just, yeah, it's over there, you know, go ahead. But he gave me a key because it's locked. And this, mind you, everybody's probably touched it. I mean,
Yeah.
Because in Maryland, a lot of things are closed. The bathroom are closed. You can't even use it if you want to use it. So it's like,
Yeah.
who's cleaning the bathroom after
I mean,
every use?
there's a lot to say about what's going on in this country, but
but back
division.
to your,
My
you know,
move.
Your reveal.
Yeah, I have a piece about it. Like, you
Nice.
know, I just feel like I'm just walking in faith. And I've never really had to walk in faith in my walk like this before. Like, tuition's always been paid and stuff like that. It's like I struggled to trust God. Everything just happened. But mine is getting a job. I had to have faith with that. But like, this move is like big faith, but I just feel like a weird piece about it. So
Yeah.
I've been talking about that and just trying to see everybody before I leave.
Wow.
But I'll be back.
We'll be back when?
I'll be back in a couple of months.
Okay. So,
Ish. People don't believe me.
it's right
but,
down the road. It's not about what?
so do you plan on
30
coming
minutes.
back and forth often, or?
I mean, people are getting married this year, so I want to support.
Got you.
But probably not that often.
Wow. I feel that, man.
I
That's
mean,
real.
if you believe you're gonna be there for a limited time, to be going back and forth is like,
Yeah. That's
unless
a
you're
lot.
rich, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
we all
right.
rich in Jesus' name,
Shout out Balla Boss.
right?
Oh,
That
But
man
nah,
be trapping.
that piece is definitely that's real because even you know you said you just turned 30, but I think even for us, like, you know, we're in our, well, I'm the youngest on the pod, and sometimes I be thinking like, dang, bruh, I don't have it all figured out, but my mentor always tells me you have a lot of life left,
that's right.
and that
definitely,
Jones
bro.
always just like,
Definitely.
you know, settling to me because I be sitting there talking about I'm 27 talking to, you know, he's in I think he's, you know, 50 plus whatever,
Yeah,
talking about me feeling like I'm not where I need to be. He's like, bruh.
You're
You have so much
You're
life.
so much.
People be
life, bruh.
screaming at 30. It's like
Yeah.
30 is. I look at some 50-year-olds. I'm like, dang, they still live lively and young. Like it's
Yeah.
not, So I'm just like, you have a while till you're old. Actually,
Bruh.
I think it's just the pressure people put on like discovering yourself
Yeah.
in your 20s, like
Yeah.
self-discovery and your identity and stuff like that. So it's like the moment you feel like you haven't really like discovered those things, as soon as you get into your 30s, you're like, man, like I feel like I should have already known myself. I should have known like my career path. I should have known like.
yeah.
So I mean, I understand like why people look at 30 like, oh my gosh, like my life, like what's going on. But it's just like it's just a societal or cultural pressure that we put on ourselves.
I've realized that life is a journey. Even when you're 50 and 60, like you're still discovering yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're still maturing day by day. So it's just like, I'm 30, but God willing, I have 50 plus more years on
Yeah.
this earth to discover myself.
Right.
And it's just like, if you, like you can't spend like 10 years figuring out your life and then think
You're right. I think you're good.
nah, like it's not like that. And it's just like,
Nah, literally.
life is not monolithic. You know what I mean? The people that have kids when they're 21 and kids that have kids when they're 35.
Yeah.
But it's what you make of it, you know? It's just like,
Right.
Yeah.
don't dwell on it.
I didn't
Yeah,
think about it.
bro.
My mom didn't have me until she was in her mid 30s.
Oh,
My
for
mom
real?
had me at
Yes.
23.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom had me at 22.
I
And
think
look at,
she
I'm
had-
just
look at us. We're
yeah.
both sitting side by side to each other. So
Yeah.
My mom
That's
had-
wild. But nah, there's this one quote that I also always taken from a college coach of mine is, "You've never arrived," and that's something that is making more sense to me now as I get older. Like you think that 20s is your year to develop, and you know that's what I've always thought. Like 20s is my year to really develop the foundations, which it still is. But even when you get to your 30s or 40s or 50s, there's always something new to discover about yourself or something
Yeah.
new
Yep.
to pursue.
Yeah.
Something new to just dwell in. And I think that just if you keep spreading that idea around that you never arrive, then it helps take the pressure off of everybody else, man.
It's kind of similar to like the quote I heard like 2-3 years ago. Don't be afraid to be an amateur. I think I've shared it on the pod
That's
before,
good.
but it's something that I try to live my life by. Even sometimes when I feel like, I'm in this new role and I feel like I'm supposed to be thriving. And that's just like me just being a husband. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm supposed to like thrive in a way, but I'm not because I'm new at this. You know what I'm saying? Like although it's about to be like 3 years, but it's just like you still learn new things about yourself. And eventually when you have kids, that's a whole nother dynamic to who you are as a father. So it's just like, and if you can apply it literally to like any area of your life, whether it's like a career path or like a new skill you're trying to take on. Like a lot of people just don't start because they're afraid of just failing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like every great person that you look up to, that you admire, you got to realize they were never great at that thing at
Yeah.
one point. You know what I'm saying? They were trash. And then they just like invested into themselves. Yeah, legit.
This guy Kirk.
Nah,
It's
it's
true.
the truth. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
think just, don't be afraid to be an amateur. Just try.
That's real, bro. That's real. But anyways, it's a 4x4 episode.
Yes, sir.
Y'all know the 4x4 is 4 questions asked to us by you guys, and we're going to take the liberty of trying to answer them and just give our perspective on it. But before that, I got one question for Alamide as it relates to the pod. What's your most listened to episode right now, and why do you think that is?
I don't even know.
Or what your favorite episode?
Okay, so my favorite episode would have to be I don't even know. I'll start with You've Gained Weight, which was actually our first podcast. And I say that because when I started the podcast, I didn't imagine it getting this far. I thought it would be like a little side joint, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't really think people would respond to the stories. And I just picked my friends, Akbet, Yeti, and Nicole. And I know them, but when they were talking on the podcast and sharing their stories, like I saw them in a new light, and I'm like, I was about to start crying. Like, you got, because they're thick, but they dress well. They're beautiful. They're talented, but they were like sharing their insecurities and childhood on the podcast, and I was like, I've known y'all for years, but I never heard these stories, and I was just like, oh my gosh! And it's like people responded well to that podcast, so it's just like.
transparency, man.
People need to hear these stories. So I started, being more intentional and putting more work in, and it has grown so far. But that podcast really opened my eyes that we need to keep doing this, and I need to take this more serious. So that's probably my favorite because it opened my eyes. And I actually enjoyed the online dating podcast that I did with
Segue.
Akle and
Sorry,
Remi. Raheem, I mean, sorry. I enjoyed that a lot because it was just fun talking for 2 hours and people listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, you'll be surprised, man. Like,
If the content's good.
I
if
mean,
the content is good, people will listen.
Yeah, man. And podcasts, people just turn them on while doing stuff, you know? So it's real
Honestly,
chill.
bro, I think there's something in the mics, bro. Once you get behind the mics, people tell stories that they never thought that they would tell, or just authenticity comes out.
Yeah.
And I think that, even to your point, it's probably the most listened to because, with our pod, I think our most listened to date still is the Boys to Men one. And us talk about our manhood. And that's literally, we didn't have no script. We just about to talk about our life and our fathers and all this.
Yeah.
And see what happens. That joint is still the top
man.
listened to. I wish we had a video.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Now this man is a father.
I
Yeah,
know,
bro.
bro. We got to do a part 2, maybe.
Bruh, we should.
Yeah,
Guys
maybe.
engaged,
Learn so much.
father.
Was
married.
I not married at that time when we did
think
that?
I think you
were.
might have been.
I
You
think it
might
was
have
like your
fresh.
first year or
Yeah, you
something
might have
like
been
that.
fresh.
Uh,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I was at the old 17,
Crazy.
20 crib.
Yeah,
Dang.
it's crazy, bro.
Sidebar. My mics that I've had initially for like the beginning of the podcast, my podcast, was actually
Ooh,
Praise God.
Okay, nah,
It's
you
all
good,
good.
shawty.
was actually donated for
Oh, wow.
Project 330.
Hey,
Hey,
man, you know what I'm
hey,
saying?
man. You know what I'm saying? You got to
We
give
sell,
back.
we sell, we sell.
Give to the
Like-
community.
Yeah. You guys birthed another podcast.
Hey, man. That's
330
real.
Network.
Podcast
Hey,
plant.
You know what I'm saying?
Church plant.
Like I'm
Podcast plant.
Shout out to.
Why not?
Hey, Art.
Anyways.
Shout out to Art. You know what I'm saying?
Holla at us.
But nah, for real, like you're definitely fam. I think
Sure.
I'm not the type that always throws things on my story and stuff, but I always like to text,
Yeah.
my friends and just tell them like I love the pod. So anytime I listen to a pod, I'm like, yo, this is dope. I make it a point to text Alami Day and just be like, yo, this joint was good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, so I know you mentioned online dating, and we're hopping into the 4x4.
Let's get it.
So what we're gonna do is everybody's gonna pick a question. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the first one. The first question for the 4x4 is: have either of you been on a dating app, and would you suggest them? I will not answer first. I'm just gonna read it. So I'm gonna let one of y'all go.
Go ahead, Gabe.
I can answer first, I guess. I mean, nah, I haven't like.
Gabe was locked in before the
Yeah,
grad.
I
before it was
mean,
a thing.
for me, for like when I before I was in a relationship or just kind of, I feel like I met people online, like social media. So there are people I connected with via social media, not actual apps.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, okay, I get to see your tweets and Instagram and your personality through that. And I think honestly, my mindset as the years have changed, like as far as dating apps and stuff like that, because to me it was just like a creepy thing. But then I think about like concepts like Airbnb, Uber, and stuff like that. That stuff was like creepy to people too.
Yeah.
And this is just like, it's like, okay, social media, but for dating, where it's like, yeah, I'm intentionally looking for somebody. So I don't think it's crazy. I just think, as a woman, you have to like protect yourself when you're meeting up with people that you don't know and stuff, and pick public places and, time and places like that. So, I mean, me personally, I'm knee deep in marriage, but I think from my perspective, I think online, like dating apps are cool. Like they're chill. They're straight to the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's no fluff time trying to figure out what's going on.
Straight to the point in both ways.
Yeah, we're on this app because we want to, you know what I'm saying, chat it up, chat the thing, so it's like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think I love the intentionality of it, from this viewpoint. Now, I've gotten stories from people like success
me.
stories, failure stories, you know what I'm saying?
A lot of
Like,
Tinder weddings, Bumble weddings.
hey, bro. So,
Shout out
like
Bumble.
for me, I'm just like, I think it works. Like me and Deb met a couple that met on a dating app, and they were like, it was a beautiful Christian couple. Like,
Wow.
one was like a dentist. I can't remember what the other guy did, and they lived out VA or whatever. And they were just like, yeah, we met on a dating app, and they were just telling us everything. And I'm like, wow, like just seeing that was like this is like
Technology.
years ago, seeing the fruit of it in that way. I was like, okay, so it works.
Yeah.
It can at least.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we should almost like normalize it because I think people in a way are so ashamed. It's like telling people you got COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like people are so. people
Nah,
I feel it.
honestly, bro.
That's true, bro.
It's true. Like people are so ashamed when someone asks you, like, "Hey, so how did you guys meet?" Because obviously back then people had this long story of how they met and all that great stuff, and it was like a very powerful story. But nowadays it's just like, oh, we just met on the app, and it's just like because people feel like their story may not have any depth. That's why like they don't really feel like they need to share like how they met that person. But I recommend dating apps because I'm always like, you know, I be feeling for a lot of people, you know, like people who want to be in relationships, but
Yeah.
like they don't necessarily know the best way to find your
Yeah.
partner. And if you don't see anyone at your job, if you don't see anyone at your church, and if you don't see anyone within like your friend groups or circles, then it's
Yeah,
just like,
branch
where
out
else do you really
somehow.
look?
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like that the concept is actually really brilliant. But again, I know it takes some warming up to, because a lot of people have trust issues, and I get that. But I would just say, like, I think it's brilliant.
Now,
know
have
what I'm
you
saying?
been on one?
I haven't been on. Well, actually, I haven't been on an intentional one. That's one that's made just for like dating. But I used to use Facebook a lot, like Facebook and Twitter
That
a
was
lot
like
in high school.
the
That
original.
was my way of going smack.
Guy slid in
To a lot
DMs.
of, yeah, I did. You know what I'm saying? And
Boy,
it was cool. You know what I'm saying? I met a lot of great friends. Like
Yeah,
people who
Stan.
started off like
Oh,
me
that's
talking to
real.
them ended up
Yeah,
being
bro.
cool friends. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
That's real.
I mean,
There's a couple people I'm like tight with. that
yeah,
I've been on
because social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think-
Technology is powerful, man.
Yeah, so I think in my college days and like right after college, I probably was on it. Like I'll be on it, be like, all right, I'm good, and just get off of it, then get on it like it's just that cycle. People go through like, all right, I'll be on it for like a couple of days, and then it's just nothing pans out. But I met some like really cool people there. I have been on like I went on maybe 1 or 2 actual dates. Some of them were just like. I mean, they're dates, but they were not like romantic type dates. You know
Right,
what I'm
because
saying?
it's
It's
a
just like,
discovery thing.
yeah,
like,
you know, just kicking it and chilling. So there's maybe like a few people that through social media we're still like following each other, friends and stuff like that. But you know, nothing really panned out there for me. And I don't know if at that time in my mindset I was really like, you know, in there like I'm about to find my wife or something. More so, I'm not out here like trying to dog people, you know, but
right.
just seeing what's out there. But I think that I do suggest them, but I think that, of course, it's becoming more of a norm now.
Yeah,
You know,
legit,
I think
yeah.
that back, if you would have asked in like 2015, 16, how'd y'all
Nah,
meet?
people be like,
People would be
"What?"
lying. But I
Like
think,
I'm,
Yeah, there's more variety now too,
Yeah.
like centered ones for certain people. And
and also, I suggest them. But I think that, you know, of course, there's always cautions there. You know, that you don't ever know. I know that now there's platforms that are more designed to be tailored and target exactly what you want, which can also cause to be a little bit more picky or like critical in some senses. But yeah, for sure. Like I think that especially now with a lot of ratios that we see, you know, I hear when it comes to men to women ratio, I think that the dating app is helpful.
Yeah. I would just say also be careful how you allow like media to like form your perception of
Yeah.
these certain apps.
Yeah.
Because you will watch like a lot of movies or like shows, like for example, Insecure. There was an episode where Issa was going on like a whole bunch of different dates and they were all like L's, right?
Yeah.
And like just stuff you see on like TV. So like a lot of people they feel like, oh man, like because this person's having this experience, maybe it's not the best like app for me to use. And it's just like, nah, just try it for yourself. Like literally you just never know what can be your outcome. And yeah, I would just say just try. I'm always about trying stuff. So
I've used dating apps. I used them up until December of last year. And I haven't had the best experiences. But I know other people that do have great stories and went on great dates and met great guys. And I know people that are married or engaged to people they met through a dating app.
Dope.
So I wouldn't discourage it. I would just say, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if
Yeah.
you want to meet somebody, especially in a pandemic where we're not
Yeah,
able to
bruh.
gather,
But especially in a
Yeah.
pandemic.
this
That's
is a
a
great
little different.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And I know the
It's
church.
definitely tougher, you know.
Yeah, no. And the church sometimes, well, when I did the online dating podcast, there was some backlash about it because it's like you're leading people in the body astray. And I'm like, I mean, no, I'm not.
How
But
are you even?
Yeah,
leading
let's unpack
people?
that.
because I feel like people really have a stigma that, you know, back in the day with the whole, you know, group chats and sex predators and all this stuff, people still have that perception when it comes to dating apps.
True.
But times
Yeah.
have changed. Like Uber used to be scary in the beginning, but now
Right.
Uber has
Right.
it's we just
Definitely still hopping in
be
strangers.
careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
yeah, even
but-
the carpool joint. You don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
stuff like that.
but things have advanced.
For
you
sure.
know, even because like think about it, like you said, people met through Instagram, Twitter. That's still
Yeah.
online dating.
Yeah, in a
You
sense,
know,
yeah.
back
There's
in the
not-
day, your auntie used to connect with somebody. Like, one of my nephews came into town. Like,
Right,
that's still
yeah.
matchmaking. So it's just
Yeah.
like times have changed with society, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to be cautious, but at the same time, not to be scared and demonize something. It's like it's not
Yeah.
always evil.
It's just-
Yeah.
I feel like it's essentially an extension of Instagram, Twitter, and all these other
100%.
platforms,
Like I said,
but just
an
with more
intentional version.
intentionality.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So it's like on Instagram, there's there's both sides. You know what I'm saying? People that are in there for the wrong reasons, just trying to, you know, stalk and do all these other things, but then you actually have genuine people like it, even just in friendship. There's a lot of people on Instagram via this podcast or whatever that have listened to us and have followed us on our personal pages, and we've developed friendships through that.
Yeah.
It's not a dating app. There's no romantic, anything there, but that's the same thing essentially as a dating app. Now, there's probably people that have negative comments and stuff like that too, which you'll probably get on a dating app, but it's just an extension of what we already do, you know, and I think that, seize every opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's the opportunities out there for a reason. But now there's some people that feel like I don't want to partake in it. I actually want to meet my significant other the way that I want to. And everybody has their options. Everybody has what they want. Like,
there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
But is it because you want a nice story on your wedding website, like our story, like I met him at Target and I bumped into him type of thing? Like,
people legit be lying on that.
People do want that though.
People definitely be.
I don't think that's a bad desire to have though.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, where's desire coming from? Like, I'd rather just meet somebody at this point.
I mean, you never know if the first date will be funny and worth storytelling. You know what I'm saying? So like the actual first date with somebody can be like, you could literally have like a funny first date where it's like, oh, he came like this and da-da-da. And when we were talking, he said, like there are things that can happen during the dating period that are story-worthy too. I don't know. Maybe people just think they're boring and they have to create a fallacy or something like that in order to...
I will say, when you are on the dating app as a believer, I will tell people to be very cautious. Like, stand firm in your beliefs, because there are some people that say that I'm a believer,
New age,
and then when you start talking to them, some things start coming out.
Progressive.
The spirit comes out.
I'm having flashbacks, bro. I don't know if I want to do it, but Married at First Sight.
Okay.
Married at First Sight.
Man, just go watch the latest album. Y'all don't even have to say names. Y'all know what couple I'm talking about.
They had a DC audition. And someone said, "Oh, it's a documentary for single people." So let me audition. So the lady interviewed me, and she said, "Yeah, the show is called Married at First Sight."
The Netflix joint, right?
Wait,
it's a Netflix joint, right?
Nah, it's Lifetime. What is it, or TLC?
I don't know, but they had a DC edition. They were interviewing single people, so I thought it was like a single documentary. That's how they pitched it on Instagram. So at the end,
that's how they be getting people.
She said, "Well, the documentary is actually called Married at First Sight." I said,
sis. People just playing with
I don't believe it. I don't. She said, "We'll cover the first year of divorce if y'all get divorced." I said, "I don't believe
first year. There's more years.
Legal fees. It might.
Oh, so they didn't even give you all years. They just give you the first.
Legal fees for the divorce.
They set people up.
I'm a believer.
But this is a joke.
It could work though. So hold on. So you remember that show on Netflix? What was that show on Netflix where it was a black and white couple who made it out?
Love is Blind.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's different, bro.
That's gambling.
That's different.
Is it different?
You have a better probability.
So Married at First Sight, how does it work?
They match you.
So literally,
let me break it
so
down.
they just give you someone to like.
You take like a questionnaire, and then they match you based off compatibility, and then you meet them at the altar.
Oh nah,
Sam, imagine
that's
exactly what I'm
imagine
saying.
you get to the altar.
It's wild.
You're blindfolded. You open your eyes, and you're in front of your bride that you don't know what they look like.
Looking
don't
like
know who
Shrek,
they are.
Bro. Can you imagine?
Chill.
Right now, let me chill. That's OC.
That's
but,
OC.
But,
bro, the concept is OC.
But so
that's scary, bro.
And you say I do to them? Like,
that's just playing with the institution of marriage.
Yeah.
Literally.
Sometimes even with that show, I don't want to give out spoilers, but this season, the things that I've realized, and this applies to dating apps too, is a bio does not mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you put in, you realize that a bio is meant to hype you up. You know what I'm saying? So
imagine getting married because of a resume.
Bruh.
You ain't even experienced the person in real life.
That's good.
But they didn't put their... Nah, that's dumb to me, right?
So although a bio is
kind of like a job, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro, to cut you off.
I mean, a job is different, though. You're not making a covenant promise.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like a job, you just dip when you want to leave.
I guess the comparison is more so just like the leap of faith type.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that comparison.
I don't know.
That's so beautiful to hear.
But hey, man, look.
I mean, even when you marry someone that you've known for years, it's still a leap of faith.
But you see them in
Did
all
you hear
seasons.
what you just said? That you've known for years.
You've seen them in different. You've seen them in different seasons, though.
Exactly.
But it's not guaranteed that the marriage will
work.
So do you think?
No, we're not talking about the marriage working. It's about the fact that you're now like based off of a show. You're now allowing a show to just now be like. I just think it's toying with the institution of marriage.
I'm saying it's okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm just putting that out there. I'm not agreeing with the concept.
So what are you saying?
Honestly,
I'm just saying that the example that you gave with the resume, I was just seeing the parallel and how they can be the same and contextually, and not like I wasn't agreeing with the fact that people should actually go and do it. That's not what I'm saying.
But look, I'll say this. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with it. When it comes to it being on national television, that's where I think you start to get a little, tricky because you have people, you're trying to entertain people at the end of the day. So sometimes you might make a decision where you put a couple together that you kind of know is not going to work, and you just want to get the drama
for the ratings,
which is exactly what this season is. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
but they cut them a good check. I'm assuming.
Is it about the check
for certain people? Yeah,
I'm gonna make a statement.
I'm just saying, the institution marriage should be played.
It shouldn't.
I mean, this is America, bro. A
lot
of our morals and ethics are
no. I mean, Stamp. I'm just saying,
trash. Or you know what I'm saying?
Like, I mean,
but I'm just saying we shouldn't be surprised by it.
I'm not surprised. I just think it's trash.
Great, right?
I'm calling it trash. I'm calling it as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so the verdict is Gabe is not a supporter of Married at First Sight.
No,
I mean I'm not either. You just throwing that out to make it clear.
But one thing I'll say is
Moses on the fence.
No. I'll just make these last 2 points. We can move on to the second question, right? One thing I will say is that arranged marriages have worked out in previous lifetimes that don't involve cameras and TVs and things like that.
That's true.
Which takes
they
into
were forced,
account,
bro. Those people weren't in love.
Yeah,
they grew into love, though.
Sometimes it's possible to grow into
not
love.
all the time.
But not all the time. But
some of them are miserable.
Sure.
Yeah.
But last thing I'll say with the dating thing, and we move on because we'll be here forever.
Right.
Is like I said, a bio doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can use it as an indicator to see what this guy might or what this woman might care about and have passions for and all that. But at the end of the day, their life is gonna mean more than the bio. You could take that out of the dating context too. It is what it is. But hey, man, just because you put John 3:16 or Proverbs 31 or Jeremiah 29:11 or whatever it is in the bio, that doesn't mean much. I mean, it means a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But
man, demons know scripture.
Yeah,
this guy calling people on dating apps. I mean, hey, there might be some.
There's some
demon
demon
time, boy.
People be
demon
they
time.
be scheming on that train.
But take precautions.
Shout out OnlyFans.
Wow. Shout out
where
to
are we going
Sam.
with this?
Anyways, take precautions with dating apps. If it's something that you feel like you could do and you want to explore, do it. Take precautions. If it's something you feel like I just don't want to go that route and I want to go a different route, do that, man. The life that you want to live to an extent, live it how you want to as a believer. But follow the word of God and Holy Spirit.
Right. Throw that out there, please.
Yeah.
Be wise. Who wants the next question?
Like she got.
No, I want to do the third one.
You want to do the third one?
All right. Who got the next one?
Gabe, do the
I'm
second
gonna do
one.
the next one. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is Gabe's question.
Young
That
passion.
guy about to cook us.
I'm asleep, bro. Anyways, so it's the second question is there a correct way to leave a church? Yes, there
Of course.
is. There's absolutely a correct way to leave a church. Let's go through the steps, shall we?
Well, before we get there, what are reasons?
I think it varies, man. You could just feel like your vision doesn't align with the church anymore.
Or I should say, what are good reasons? What are bad reasons?
Yeah, I mean, I think people can go back and forth on this, right? Like we can all discuss it. But as far as my takes on this, I think good reasons to leave the church is like you notice that the focus of the church isn't what's your focus for a church. So like you go to church for a certain reason, and you feel like that church isn't providing that thing for you. Two, you can also just feel like what the church is, providing or dishing out is, like not for you. Like, there could be a church. I think some churches, like some have a little more focus on like fellowship. Some have a little more focus on like the supernatural. Yeah. Some have a little more focus like, worship or, just the different things. And so, or some are really Bible focused in a way that's like studying school format type, or whatever. And so, that's why I first and foremost think that Christians should not be like excluded to one church. You can visit other churches. Yes. This is a body. 100%. We are united. But yeah, I think those are good reasons because God told you to leave. Like it's time for you to be catapulted.
Like me.
It just might be a place where you had a
I
good...
was white garment church my whole life. And then
some people don't even know what white garment church is.
I don't know how to
we know.
I don't know how to explain that.
White garment church is more of a traditional, like Old Testament focused church where they kind of focus on like old traditions of the Bible, and kind of like hone in on that. And yeah, it's very restrictive and legalistic, pretty much, in my opinion.
Had to eventually.
But yeah, so I mean, I do think like good reasons could be like you could be in a church situation, you've gotten all that you can get. And it sounds weird to say that, but sometimes your church should be sometimes catapulting you into another level or into a new place.
That's right.
And I think bad reasons to leave sometimes are like
pride.
This guy just
Good.
showed up.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Offense.
This guy was waiting for me to literally say that.
Also offense.
Offense. Yeah, offense is because sometimes people don't realize when you leave based off of offense, you're just going to go somewhere else and somebody else is going to push the button instead
That's
of
right.
you know, solving the buttons. Like when I had left one of my churches, the pastor, when I had a talk with him, he was like, some people leave because their buttons are pressed, and instead of them actually addressing the buttons, they just go somewhere else and the buttons are pressed again. So, you know, like, and they end up in the same situation. So, yeah, and I think you have to recognize all churches have their issues. So to the meat of the question, though, like, is there a correct way to leave a church? You know, and you guys can answer like the good or bad reasons to leave. But is there a correct way to leave a church? I think yes. I think you have to try to do it with honor. You know what I'm saying? Like when you leave, make sure you notify if you were a part of serving somewhere in the church or you were part of an something in the church. Talk to the leader there and say, I'm thinking about leaving. And sometimes you get into manipulative conversations where leaders try to, you know, like tell you, oh, no, we were going to do this or we're going to do that or we want.
Or you misheard God.
Or stuff like that. So, you know, and that's why it's important. And that's why it's important to pray throughout this process because you need the conviction to stand firm. I remember like my first home church where I grew up at. I just remember, you know, like I feel like I was able to be like one of the like first young people, one of the set of first young people who were like really on fire, like awake for God, you know, like really passionate about Jesus. And I remember I was just sitting in the service and I remember the Holy Spirit was like, is this where you want to raise your family in the future? And I was like, no. And when I had that in my head, that was the countdown to my way out. Like
I'm out.
Legit. I was like, I don't want to raise my family here. You know, like, you know, I think it was good to me. They raised me and stuff like that, but this is not where I want my future to be honed. Yeah. And so long story short, just talking to the leaders, the people who are my authorities, you know, if you have a relationship with like the lead pastor, then I think you have that conversation. If you don't, I don't think it's necessary that you talk to whoever the lead pastor is, you know, but the people who were relationally close to you, I think it's good that you talk to them or whatever, but definitely pray through the process. And if bad reasons or experiences are part of your, you know, like you leaving, starting a smear campaign against the church is not the move. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not something Jesus would do, you know, like, and so you just have to think now, like, is what I'm doing bearing fruit? You want to leave in a way that's like
honoring.
Yeah. You know, so I do think that's really communication. And then, you know, just have a time. If you have responsibilities, let the people know so they can get themselves straight. Like, okay, I'll be leaving at the end of this, you know, 2 weeks. So if you guys need to find somebody to, you know, take up my responsibilities, I'm giving you time to, if it's you're moving, you know, stuff like that. Just communicate. I think that's really the communicate. Just say that you're about to leave and pray about it so you have that conviction. So that, because some of these church leaders, you know, some of us will be like, you know, I don't think that's right for you, or I don't think God's telling you that. And some will, I've been and seen in situations where it's like, no, we were about to make you the head of this.
Dang.
While you're saying you're about to leave out the door. And it's like, why didn't you just, why wasn't that made known to me beforehand?
Yeah.
It seems like a ploy now to keep me to stay. You promoting me. And so, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about the good and the bad reasons because we don't want to, I think nowadays, and, you know, of course, this is something I fight against all the time, is being in a position where you're just church hopping.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that when you talk about the good reasons to leave, when you talk about the bad reasons to leave, it addresses that, you know, because like Gabe said, there's no perfect church. And a church is not always supposed to be something that is for you necessarily in terms of like it's fulfilling all your needs. You also have a responsibility to sow into the church that you're at.
Yeah.
And to be there, and that requires suffering and sacrifice at times. So I think, to be real quick, for me, I think the good reasons are there's sometimes where you are catapulted to, a different area of life. There's also times where you are, I don't want to say, well, yeah, growing your faith to an extent where you are starting to realize some things that you want to align yourself more with, or things that you're valuing more. And maybe this might not be the right place to really pursue that, right? Yeah. And I think it's healthy to really digest that and see where you're at, see where you're planning and what is producing in you, to see if that's somewhere you want to stay. Because down the line, no matter where you're sown into, that's going to produce into your life. You know what I'm saying? Now, the bad reasons is, like you said, pride, offense, things like that, where you feel like you're not the leader, you're not the person that's in charge, or you're not the one that they're looking to get everything done, because that's not even the point of church. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not.
We've made that the thing when it comes to church.
I'm going to church to go be fulfilled.
Yeah. I'm going to church to be the leader that people can look to, and I want this position, I want this, I want that.
And you don't even want to take the steps, to slow progression into those roles.
Yeah. So sometimes people you'll go say, I want to lead worship. The pastor will put you in another whole department, and see how you do there.
At my current church, at my current church, I when I wanted to join worship team, and in my old church, I was a worship leader, like, and everything. They put me on hospitality to like usher people into their seats, and I was like, I was furious.
Did I actually
Bro, I remember DC's first opening Sunday in Laurel that I did parking team or whatever. Right. And I'm like, this is the opening day. I thought I was finna be on the stage, like, holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was singing in the parking lot.
I was helping with parking,
had
bro.
To fit ready. Right. This man had to fit.
I didn't even remember what I was
parking Hondas and Toyotas.
Yo, look, and then, I went from parking team to hospitality, like ushering people to their seats and stuff like that. And I never like sought an explanation for it, but I was like, bro, what's going on here? But for me though, it added more substance to when I did make my way onto the worship team, and for me it was like, I'm glad that it wasn't just like, let me just privilege you up into that, or whatever. I didn't hate it. I don't think in every situation you need to be put on another team before that. But for me,
there's definitely better ways.
Yeah, definitely. But I think for me it worked out well as far as like an understanding of like just greeting people one by one. And so when I'm worshiping now, I had an experience to be able to, these are people I led to their seats, interacted with, like in that kind of way, and it just meant more, or whatever. But sorry to interject.
Voice of praise.
Right. Yeah. I think the other thing, like the actual question was, is there a proper way to lead?
Yeah.
So, transparent moment, that's something that, of course, where was I even going with this? I think that Gabe kind of alluded to this earlier. I think that the level of investment to an extent kind of determines that to an extent, because nowadays, if you're in that church hopping bracket, you are often people are often going to large churches where it's harder to really get into that place where, one, people know you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're going there, you may have been there for, a few months and you're leaving. It wouldn't really make sense if the pastor don't even know me, if whatever doesn't know me, that I'm announcing. It's like, which that brings up a whole discussion on what church should look like and how the onboarding process, all that type of stuff.
Cue it up for the episode.
Yeah.
That's what is church?
That's a whole
nother
joke.
What does church mean?
What does church mean?
Add it to the list.
I think that when, you've been invested into this place for a long time, and Gabe's looking at me because we've had these conversations.
I'm laughing.
I do think that there is a way that it should be done. I think that sometimes pride does come into the way. And for me, myself, transparent more, like I'm in a place where I feel I just been barely challenged throughout this past year, and even just a few months before 2020, just on like what is being produced in me. Say this is me personally. Like me personally, I know some people are at churches and they thrive in it and they do well, where some have a different experience in terms of like how it affects them. So for me, like I just was, realizing some things and starting to value a couple of things a little bit differently. And that kind of just, led me to a place where I think I need to step back and step away for a little bit and just understand what I'm thinking and what I'm going through and see where I should place myself. So that's probably where I've been at, where, you know, I've had conversations with a few leaders that have probably been the closer people to me at the church. And it did take some time for me to have those conversations, because I'm just like, man, if it ain't coming, I ain't doing it. I'm just going to chill.
Right.
Just back out. But I think there is an importance of having those conversations, because, you know, you never want to leave things up in the air. And especially for the ones that really cared about you and really invested into you, and you know, you to an extent like went to battle with. I think that they should know about that, because they care about you. But even before that, like my home church. So with that being said, like I am in that current position right now. You know what I'm saying? But
where you are,
I'm in the step back position, and like
just
not
want you to elaborate. Yeah,
I'm in the this is what our group chat looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
Gabe will pull
a lot
out.
of times people be like, man, they generalize things so they don't have to specifically say.
Look, man, I'm not at the church that y'all thought I was at. You know what I'm saying?
Right, just
just throw it out there.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's good to say it out loud. You know what I'm saying? Have victory over it.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, but before even that, my home church that like I still love, and the bishop there, like we talk every now and then whenever he sees me. I think that was one of the experiences I had where he like sent me out type. Like we had a conversation. Yeah. Like I got sent out because I went to college, right? And then I went to college. I found the church that I was at during college, and then I would come back. And then the period when I came back from college, I graduated. He invited me to like his office and just to talk and like, you know, see where I'm at. Yeah. Because he knows he told my mom, "Oh, you're back home. Your son Moses is back home now. You know, tell him to come see me." Went to his whole office. We had a whole conversation just about like, you know, where I'm at, where the church I'm at right now. How is it? And
was he at your grad party?
Yeah, I believe he might have been there.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I believe he might have been there. He's like I
have a good memory. Yeah, I remember.
He's like a father figure.
I remember I was there. That was it.
Yeah, honestly,
Moses was there.
I don't remember.
It was far.
It was Silver Spring,
deep Silver Spring.
Everything about Moses be far,
right?
You know what I'm
saying? But you know, to get to the story, I'll say just not to stay on too long. But we had a conversation about what I was doing at the current church that I was at, and he was transparent. He's like, "Yo, like I think that you can come back and have that same impact at this church," and I was just like, I mean, this is definitely something to think about, but I don't know if you know if that's me right now. And then he was just like, you know, all right, I just wanted to let you know that, and, you know, I support you in any way, wherever you go, but know that you always have a home here.
Hey,
and I was just like, and you know, when people say that, they mean it. Because whenever I see him, he's always like, how's things going? Like, just, you know, I'm getting calls every day like, yo, Mo, come back. You know, we got some plans. It's like, I don't know. But I just think that mindset really showed me what it looked like to send people out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Honor them and really like, you know, bless. Because he reached out to me, like, he was like, yo, call me, set up a meeting with the, I guess, the assistant and come to my office. And then that's when that conversation happened. So I really loved him for that, and I still do. That's my bishop, you know, wherever I go, he's still going to be.
Shows intention.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a similar story for me in my home church. So I remember growing up in my home church. It's a family church, obviously. My whole family were going there, and it got to a point where, you know, my high school years, where I'm kind of like, I think it was like my high school years where I'm intrigued a little bit more about like Christian, because I wasn't like actually saved yet, but it was like a little more intrigued. But then I was like playing the drums for my church, so I had that.
This guy saying could play the drums.
I used to, not anymore.
This guy's tough.
I appreciate that, not anymore. But so I had this responsibility of like playing the drums at my church, and I felt like because I had that responsibility, it was like a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
If you can't find another drummer, like imagine worship. You know what I'm saying? Praise and worship with no drum in an African church.
Bruh.
People don't even know what that's like. Bro. You know what I'm saying? There's always a drum. So, anyways,
you got the hands. You got. Praising that Lord.
Right. I mean, I guess they can do that.
Right.
But it's funny.
They're not rocking.
They're not rocking, not at all. It's funny because Remi and I actually went to the same like home church, and we were both feeling the same way. It was around the time when we first started going to like Destiny Harvest at the time. So like when we experienced that, we was like, oh wow, like we didn't know like church could look like this. You know what I'm saying?
That's literally like everyone. I think
everyone's
all
experience.
Of ours. Yeah.
You know, like we were so used to like traditional African churches. That, you know, a lot of us didn't pay attention to the word. A lot of us didn't pay attention in general because we just felt like this is what church is like has to look like. Yeah. But so, you know, Remi and I was like, yo, how are we going to, like, this is probably like a year and like a year and some change of like feeling this way, or maybe like 6-7 months, I would say. And we're like trying to figure out like how we should like tell him, you know, because like we're literally like afraid to like this man has essentially like, I mean, he seen me.
Y'all.
He actually gave me my name. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was a little weird like for him to like basically see me grow up and have to like share that type of news that I'm no longer going to be at his church. Especially I'm the only one out of my family who left at that time. Like my mom still went there, my dad, my sister.
Damn.
It really looked like somehow like, yo, like what's good. So Remi and I,
we thinking that you backsliding.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I'm saying.
Even my mom to this day, I was like,
it was an uncomfortable process. But then Remi and I, we just decided to pull up to his crib. I think we said we wanted to talk to him, and he was like, "Yo, just come over." And we like, "Damn, we gotta go to his house, like make it this whole big thing." So like we came over, and then he was like, "Yeah, so you know what's going on? Like, how are you guys doing?" And then I think Remi looked at me to be the one to like tell him. I was like, "This guy." So, you know, we ended up telling him, and, you know, he completely understood. That's the thing. Like, sometimes you assume that, you know, people are going to get offended. People are going to be in their feelings about it. But he was actually, like, mad cool. His only thing was, like, he just wanted to know, like, what church we were going to. And I named, like, 2 to 3 churches at the time because there was, like, multiple churches I was thinking about going to. And I was dating someone at the time, and she was going to a particular church. And I named that church. And he was like, nah. He told me not to go to that church. I was just like, she told me the reasons why. And he's like, yeah, just out of all the other churches you mentioned, just don't go to that one. So he's like, what other church are you thinking? And I said, that's when I mentioned Destiny. And he's like, oh, yeah, I heard about that church, da-da-da. So I say all this to say, during that process, it wasn't as awkward and hard as I thought it was going to be. And he ended up actually praying for us. And you like, obviously you feel like there's been some type of weight that's been lifted off your shoulder because you're not leaving an offense. And you know, he's actually supporting your move. So that was that. And then moving forward to the church I was at previously, even recently, that transition was a little awkward. I'm just being honest. Like, I used to work at my former church for like about 2 years. And then, you know, I was just letting them know that, hey, you know, like so-and-so is going to be my last day. You know, I'm no longer going to be on staff. And, you know, some people took it well, some people didn't take it well. I'm not going to really like, you know, put the information out there like that. Yeah. But I would just say like the situation could have been handled in a more, I would say, smoother way, proper way. And it just wasn't. And like Moses said, there is that pride that gets in the way. And sometimes it's just like, your eyes are just open to like what's for you. You know what I'm saying? Even in the midst of offense, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I don't hate anyone. I'm not bitter towards anyone. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a realization like, okay, cool. Like, you know, through the situation, I just learned what's for me and what's not for me. And it took a lot of praying, you know what I'm saying? And it was painful, you know what I'm saying? Because this was something where I thought that, you know, because I'm not working there anymore, I feel like I can still attend there as a member. Yeah. But it's unfortunate that because I don't work there anymore, now I feel, you know, I can't be a member of the church because of that whole transition. So, I mean, sometimes the transition, I would love for it to be like smooth every single time, but I wouldn't say it's not God just because it wasn't smooth. Yeah. As long as there's some like mutual understanding of like, okay, cool, like this is what's best for us in this season, this is what you feel like is best for you in the season, then it's fine. If you guys don't hate each other, there's no, you know what I'm saying, bitterness towards one another, then hey, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is, you know. And through that season of trying to figure out like what church, you know, that like me, my wife and I are looking, we actually ended up finding a church. I'm not going to mention the church on the pod yet, you know what I'm saying? But we found a church, you know. So sometimes like a good reason to leave the church can be, you know, obviously maybe there's a certain level of growth that you just reached that where you feel like the church that you're currently at, you know what I'm saying, may not necessarily serve you in the way that it was maybe 2 years ago or whatever the case may be. A bad reason, obviously, to leave is like if there's like, again, bitterness or hatred, or you just don't like particular people who's at that church. You know what I'm saying? Like some people do that all the time. Right. They leave the church because they don't like a few people there.
Same thing with their jobs.
Same thing with their job. So I would just say like, again, at the end of the day, just pray about it. You know, the Lord will give you the peace for you to really know, like, if you should really leave or if you should stay. Because honestly, a lot of uncomfortable things are where you should be. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, perseverance,
long suffering to an extent.
And it's just like because people don't enjoy being uncomfortable, like they retreat. You know what I'm saying? Like they run away. You know, and I feel like you can't ever grow as a Christian, as a believer, as a woman, as a man, without feeling some type of uncomfortability. You know, and that's something I had to like face on, you know what I'm saying? It was mad uncomfortable, but I thank God for those formative years that really allowed me to grow as a leader, you know what I'm saying? Because I was given leadership roles at my previous church, and it was uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying? I had no previous leadership roles before that, and, you know, having to, like, grow in that way really taught me a lot, even now, how I see things, how I see people, how I approach conversations. It was because of just like that, those formative years. So just pray about it. The Lord will, He'll definitely give you a peace about, whether you should leave a church or whether you should stay. And just because you're uncomfortable there doesn't mean you should leave.
Yeah, discomfort is not equal to abuse.
Yeah,
and abuse isn't equal to discomfort. So,
no, we want to hear about
your experience.
Okay,
definitely say it just happened. You're probably the most recent.
So since I'm moving, I have to have a comfortable with my pastor, and I've been avoiding it for like 2 weeks. But
son, that jump be just
the first lady, the pastor, she texted me last night. She was like, "Did you tell Apostle yet?" And I was like, "No, I'm scared." So she said, "Just set up a Zoom call and just explain to him what's going on." But it's like he basically fathered me in a sense, like his children are my best friends, and I go over to their house a lot, even before becoming a member. And I used to get sick, and I used to be at their house, and he used to take care of me and stuff like that. So it's just like, before even becoming my pastor, he was like a father to me. So now to say I'm leaving, it's just so, I don't want to, but I got to do it. But leaving my dad's church, I grew up in White Garment. My dad's a pastor. And
PK?
PK, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
And I left at 25, but even leaving, it was hard because I had the convo like, okay, I want to leave the church. He's like, when you graduate, you can leave the church. I finally graduated. I said, I'm leaving. Because, at that time, I left Destiny to go back to my dad's church. He built a second branch by Morgan State, and he forced me to go. So I said, I graduated. I'm going back to Destiny. And he was like, no, when you get married. And I was just like, I don't know when I'm getting married. And he was like, okay, when you, he said something. And I was just like, what? So I told Apostle, my current pastor, and he was just like, you are a grown woman, okay? You can do whatever you want. If God's calling you to leave, then leave. Like, just be bold. Yeah. And then he went back to his Bible, like back to his reading. And I was just like, yeah, I'm a grown woman. 'Cause my dad had threatened to cut me off his insurance plan.
Bruh.
And at the time, I was 25. I was on that insurance plan.
Right.
They love Bernie.
Fear tactics, bro.
Yeah.
They love them Jones.
But my mom said, so one thing she says that he's just your earthly father, but God is your ultimate father.
Come on.
And one day, when I was at my dad's church, I was just like, why am I letting fear of getting cut off an insurance plan stop me? Like,
Hey,
they would pay my car insurance, my health insurance, and my phone bills. Like, why am I letting that stop me from pursuing the life that my ultimate father has created?
We got the ultimate insurance.
Yes. So I
left.
Whether
you're here or not.
So I left. I was like, I actually went and visited I went to go visit my current church just to visit because my friends go there, And I don't know what happened, but I kept on hearing in my head, grace and strength. Grace, like over and over. And I couldn't get it out of my head. So I Googled, I kept on hearing grace and grit. And I Googled grit, and it said strength. So then out of nowhere, Apostle called me, like, come here, Alama. He called me, he anoints me with oil. And he said, girl, all you need is some grace and strength. And I wanted to fall out because I just kept on hearing that for a whole hour in my head.
Right.
So I was just like, this is my church. So when the day I decided that's my church, my dad, after avoiding, like, not going to church for weeks, like doing Bedside Baptist for weeks, he finally confronts me, like, why haven't you been to my church? And I was like, I'm not coming back. But I felt like that was the enemy. Like, the moment I finally stopped church hopping and found a church that I wanted, I got attacked by my dad. And he was like, I'm going to kick you out. So I was like, no, you're not. So I came back home like, no, you're not. And ever since that day, he has never challenged me. But it was I had to be bold in my decision of leaving, even though, like, my dad was my pastor, so it's kind of different. Like, because I live with him, and he's also my spiritual authority, so it's kind of different.
He got double up.
Bruh.
Yeah, so but it was kind of manipulative in a sense, because, like, I'm using financial means to keep you here when I know that you're not growing. Like, my church was not growing me at all.
Bruh.
But my current church, that I am, it's very small, like very family oriented, and I love it. And my mom was telling me to leave because there's no men there, and I'm just like, girl, that's not a good reason to leave a church.
I mean,
it's men in other churches, like,
it's hard to find
people act like your church is like your whole system. Like,
but for African parents, it is. Though.
I mean, for them,
I think it's the fact that a local church should be a very pivotal thing to you, but it shouldn't be everything.
Right.
Because there is a community that you live in that people that don't go to your church are in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is why I always talk about sports ministry, because, I grew up in the church and I have my church community, and that same community and what we're doing there is needed in outside communities. You know what I'm saying? So, like, being invested in your local church, and that's why it's also important that your local church is also investing into the community that they're in, of the people that aren't members. But yeah, I mean, not to stay on this topic too long. I think that at the end of the day, there's healthy ways to leave a church. There's unhealthy ways to leave a church. There's healthy reasons and unhealthy reasons. I think that even in the healthy reasons and the healthy leaving, it sometimes might not always look the best. But if you're really consulting God about it, consulting mentorship, and praying about it, then, you know, he'll be able to guide you. And, you know, if anything, talk to Gabe. Gabe will set you straight. But nah, like, I think, you know, there's something I could say myself. Every church that I've been at, every pastor I've been at has played a pivotal role in my life. And even in just even the birth of this pod, I'll say that. And 330, like where I was, just even in my previous churches, played a big role in learning a lot about, you know, what it is to really serve God and to make a difference. But so sometimes parting ways is still good, you know. But yeah,
Beautiful.
church announcement. Me and Sam soon, hopefully. Say nah. Anyways, next question.
The next question. Myth or fact? Christian guys have no game.
Tell us
Man.
what you think.
I'm going to answer.
It's a
Come on.
both.
I think Christian men
Come on, straight.
play games.
Okay.
Wow.
Christian men are pansies.
Get
Shout
'em.
out to
Wow.
Destiny.
Get him.
I came back in February for service, but I think Christian men play games.
Come on.
I don't know if maybe it's the ratio of women to men that
Same man.
plays a factor in
Nintendo.
this.
It does.
But I feel like Christian men play games, and it's like
So what's an example of playing games? Briefly.
indecisiveness,
True.
miscommunication, lack of communication,
Jeez.
not being intentional. Like you're pursuing somebody, like you're pursuing somebody, but you won't say it's pursuing them. I'm just getting to know you, but you're doing a lot of things that look like pursuit as opposed to friendship. You know what I mean? And it's just like my pet peeve is lack of communication and miscommunication. I'm very direct, so I feel like Christian men, like they'll take you out. Oh, how was your day? Hit you up, any prayer points, all these things. It's more than a friendship. You're pursuing me. But then they simmer down after a while, and they come back sometime, and it's just like, I'm a human being. I have emotions, you know, and I'm not an abstract thing in your life. I actually have emotions and I have thoughts. And what you're doing is like hot and cold. Is also affecting me as well.
I'm laughing because you didn't even answer the question. You just took this time to go.
yeah.
in.
Oh,
She's
sorry.
No, it's cool. Keep going though. Keep
sorry.
going. Keep going.
She was quick with it.
Sorry,
Them jokes
okay.
came out.
It's I want to just dish it out. You know what I'm
Sorry.
saying? I know some girls in their car right now.
Yeah, like yes.
You know, like
Okay, but I feel like Christian men can have game because it's like you think about it, like before you were saved, you were unsaved, and maybe in your unsaved life you had game, and I don't think it all dropped at the altar when you said yes, Jesus. I
it's
think
for some
people, some people don't have game,
some
but
of
some
my
people do have
boys.
game.
Oh, God.
But I did a podcast recently, and I was saying like when men are intentional and are comfortable with themselves, they have game. It's beautiful to be loved.
Security.
Yes, it's beautiful to be loved by a black man. Well, anybody, a man in general, for this podcast's sake.
Hey, it's lit.
A man in general, when he's
Black
comfortable and he's sober minded.
Yeah.
I feel like they're very intentional, very driven, and very direct. So they do have game. But when they're not sure and confused themselves, they play games.
That's a good. That's
Come
a
on,
good,
Shanta.
That's a good.
I wanna play
The
devil's
offering place to
advocate.
go around.
Hey, girl.
Wait.
I want to play devil's
Gotta
advocate.
go
bring in
ahead,
devil
go ahead,
advocate.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just gonna
He don't
say.
need an advocate for real, but
No, he
whatever.
don't.
Okay,
No.
but I was
Explain
just
that was that.
like I'm pretty much. So yeah, I just wanted to say because I feel like there are some men who
Are securing themselves.
not even that. There are some men. So I think like if the whole mixed signal thing, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm texting someone and I'm checking in, and that's why I guess communication does need to be clear as far as like what we are. But it's like even if it's not clear, like I feel like communicating with someone like often as a friend, you know what I'm saying? If I don't cross the line of any like if I don't cross the sexual line or if I'm not flirting, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not like giving you any of those signals, but I'm texting you every day, I'm asking, hey, you want to hang?
Texting every
Hold
day
on,
though.
hold
Texting
on.
every day.
Okay,
is
all right, hold
No,
on.
no. I'm just making sound effects.
I'm just saying.
Keep
all right,
going, bro.
all right, let's say if it's not every day.
No,
Tag team them?
What
Come
if
on
it's
now.
all right? If it's not every day, but
I'm on
it's,
both sides.
if it's not every day, but it's more than any of your other guy friends are texting you, it may stand out, and you may feel like, oh my gosh, like this guy is pursuing me. It's like nah, like this guy enjoys communication with you as a friend. That doesn't necessarily mean that he wants to take you out. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's giving you mixed signals. It's more so just like, hey, I'm trying to be a friend. But again, I can understand the miscommunication because someone needs to make it clear in a relationship.
So, like we said earlier, Gabe and I are best friends, right?
Right.
And we made it very clear at the beginning of our friendship that this covenant that we have is strictly friendship.
Right.
So, me chilling on Gabe's couch, watching Netflix with him, or going to Chick-fil-A, all that stuff, we already knew from the jump that this is nothing. But my thing is, like, at this age, does anybody really want any more guy friends?
Nah, bro.
I want a husband. I'm sorry.
Nah, I feel it.
So I don't need a fifth guy texting me, "How are you doing?" I don't like texting people, so I need to know you're texting me. What are you doing? Because you know you're trying to pursue me.
In men's defense, though.
We tag team in.
Hold on.
That's what y'all were
In
doing.
men's defense.
You know,
men's
sometimes
defense.
love got to tell
No,
the truth.
I got both sides. You know what I'm saying? I got both sides.
All right.
But for what we're talking about right now, in men's defense, I will say that I think that sometimes we're not ready to pursue, but we're interested. So it's like I don't want to be your friend. I just want to get to know more about you before. But I think that has to be stated. You have to kind of state
and you
it.
have to dial it back a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? And you have to watch how hard you go.
This
I
one
think
is so nuanced.
it's very nuanced, bro. And that, but the issue is here, and this is where I was going to go with the actual question. Myth or facts, do Christian men have game? As a Christian man, I know that some of my brothers don't have game per se, because when you come into Christendom, not a lot of places teach you how to pursue from a distance, how to pursue more seriously,
how to observe from a distance,
right? How to observe from a distance, how to communicate properly. You know, either they're teaching girls how to be wives, or they're teaching men how to be leaders, and it's like
financial providers,
right. And we're not being taught how to do that tango, like that dance,
romance.
you know, because there's a way to have boundaries and show interest without, you know. But I think it's a lot of it is in communication. But what I was going to say, as far as Christian men have a game, is a lot of us get saved and we act like we don't have personalities. Like, you know what I'm saying? That whole,
I didn't want to say it,
of course,
but Gabe did it.
But I think it's both sides too. You know, don't
Some
get me
people
wrong.
don't also like the personality that's presented, but that's their.
Some people associate their personalities with their actions.
But
Well,
also,
I'm saying that people act, when they become Christians, they just act like everything is like about the Bible and like my
monolithic.
life. You know, right?
Very
They're
monolithic.
just one dimensional. Like, oh, how you doing? God is good. You know, God is great. You know, like
Praise Him.
instead of just
It starts from
having
God
a
told me you're my wife.
personality. Yeah, and that lazy phrase. You know what I'm saying? Like, God told me you're my whatever, and it's like, yeah, there are a lot of times that God told people in the Bible that like they highlighted a person to them, but they actually pursued them.
That's
you know what I'm
good.
saying? As opposed to them going up to somebody and saying, it's lazy to do that. You're not doing any work.
Right.
It's just, because God didn't tell you to do that. You know what I'm saying? So
and I think it's funny because talking to my women girlfriends, they have like cute date ideas and gift ideas. I'm like, oh yeah, very intentional. But when it comes to guys, it's just like half baked sometimes. Okay, you had the best proposal.
Nah.
We understand. Okay, we understand. We saw you went viral.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
Black love Twitter. But I feel like when it comes to guys, I don't know if it's maybe even unsafe guys have the same issue as well.
Yeah, I think this is a guys.
It's a guys thing.
sometimes
in general.
girls try to be like, save guys, unsaved guys. No, we all pretty much.
Yeah, there's no like bracket
Yeah,
between
It's the same.
Christian. There's equivalents to
cloth.
the Christian man you think is corny. There's an unchristian man that is the same level of corniness and don't got game. But corniness is subjective. You know what I'm saying? Champ is
I have
subjective.
a question. You know how people talk about the bad guy, the Christian bad guy?
Christian bad boy.
And is this the
It's
same?
a myth, bro.
Yes, are they saying like
That's the myth.
I think it's
person-
swag, bro. Son, just some Christian guys don't be having swag. Like,
That's it, okay.
it's just, and that's what I said. When you get saved, you just lack personality. Like, some guys just aren't cool. Like, let's just call a spade a spade.
You're
Like,
a square.
yeah, I mean that's just it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But they,
I know
but
Sam-
plenty of
Sam, you're
guys.
cool.
I know plenty of guys who have Christian guys who have swag, and I know some that don't.
and they're both confident in themselves.
Well, not all of them.
well.
We're in a better place now than we were before. But
Praise him.
I know some of us, we were not as confident as we are now.
That's true.
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
true,
So
that's
I
true.
just think that it's, but like I said, churches don't teach you how to communicate with women, and how it's okay to go smack. Like, it's like, am I allowed to go smack? And should I have prayed about it? It's like, you can express interest and pray in your prayer closet. Like, you don't have to be weird and creepy and mystical, bro.
Man,
Like,
that's real. Man.
I don't know.
I think, we said, it's so nuanced, bro. Like, because there's so much different things being preached and talked about when it comes to relationships and these topics. But I think one thing that we can agree upon is that, one, what Olamide say is the security that you have in yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think that plays a big role in how you approach the opposite gender. You know what I'm saying? If I'm approaching somebody and securing my identity, secure who I am, personality wise, then if I'm champ, I'm champ. If I'm cool, I'm cool. You take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? But then also, I think it also intentionality and communication. Not only just intentionality about what you're doing, but how the other person, to an extent, is seeing it and perceiving it. Because we can be texting a lot and doing that, but it's important to also look at the other side and see how this person could interpret it to an extent. Because I think that we have somewhat of a responsibility. I'm not saying we have the entire responsibility, but we do have somewhat of a responsibility to, kind of guard whatever it is that's happening.
I wanted to say two things. The one thing was, like, I actually text Sam to give me Gabe's number, and Sam gave it to me. And then Gabe was like, girl, next time go smack yourself. And I busted out laughing because it's like, I was trying to go smack at you. But the fact that he said it, he was just so comfortable with himself to say that, go smack yourself next time.
Sometimes we appreciate people that go smack.
But I want to say to the Christian girls, the Christian women, if a guy doesn't have game, it's okay. Just give him a chance. Because once you say yes to him.
There's a lot of them getting chances.
When did game matter, though?
Yeah, because
game has always mattered.
And what content?
Charisma, as far as, like, approaching a woman.
No, okay,
the game at the end of the day is confidence.
I don't know. I got an example.
Because my ex didn't have game.
I'm talking about the Bible. I got an example. Go ahead.
My ex didn't have game. Like, the way he went smack was he was very nervous. I intimidated him. But I finally eventually said yes to him. And then after that, he was very intentional with the date, creative and stuff like that. And just like, okay, I guess guys are nervous sometimes.
No, sure.
100%.
You don't have to have game to
thrive as
to initiate contact.
Look at Hitch, the movie.
It helps.
They all didn't have game, but Will Smith helped them.
Right. Having game helps.
But you can learn. Can you learn to have game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now
you can learn to be confident in your skin.
Yeah. I wasn't always confident in approaching people.
I definitely was not.
But I think.
Nowadays,
I became more confident in myself and
bro.
secure. I mean, bro,
literally.
You had two sisters.
It was hard.
I'm talking about romantic, like when you actually have affection towards someone. That's scary.
It's gotta be just.
I feel like that's why I be telling people get confident in your identity because
I was literally afraid of women. Like I would not talk to them. Like I remember one time, like I was in like I took a bathroom break. I asked the teacher if I used the bathroom, and then I saw my crush in the hallway. Like we literally, she was walking towards me. And her name was Chantel, man. Chantel, you know what I'm saying?
Chantel, if you're listening, there's no chance. My man is gone.
It was one, I don't know how this is relevant, but I don't know. I think for me, it's like I was so afraid to the point where I was asking myself, like, okay, she's about to walk past me. What am I going to do? Am I going to say something? Am I going to say hi? Am I going to wave? I literally just walk right past. Didn't even look at no eye contact, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like some people really are afraid. I don't know, like some people deal with anxiety. Though. You know what I'm saying? Like some people really don't know how to approach women in a way where it may be well received in a way. You know what I'm saying? So
the worst thing is getting cooked by your crush, bro.
Yeah, or her friends.
You know what
I'm saying?
That joint will
scars
you until who knows, bro. There's a lot of men out here just scarred by the person they like.
You don't need game, but it helps. You know what I'm saying?
But what is game?
Game is charisma. That's what it is.
And with
swag.
Confidence.
Do you have game through Instagram?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
You know,
so you can copy and paste game. People not really gonna know what's.
I mean, they meet you in real life and you champ, and they gonna be like, "Well,
Instagram only is credible until you're in front of the person." But man, do Christian men have game? Or is it a myth or a fact?
It depends.
It depends.
I think it depends on the person.
Okay.
Some guys have game, like you guys.
Right. The lady has spoken.
I don't have game. I'm champ.
I have game. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So when do you feel like this mentality involved? I don't know if this is relevant, but it's just something I read like recently when I was reading my Bible. So it was around the time when Abraham was looking for a wife for his son Isaac, and he sent the servant.
Yes.
So he sent the servant to go find a wife for Isaac, right? But then the servant was at the well. He was like, all right, bet if she comes and she offers me water, then I know this is the one for Isaac. And they actually ended up being together. So my thing is like when it's like during that time you'll look at it like it's weird. Like that's weird. Like how did he now brought Rebecca to Isaac to now marry. But it's just like, when did like, okay, you got to like have game, you got to do. When did that mentality evolve?
Back then, marriage was more.
They married for love.
Yeah,
they didn't really marry for love like that.
They married for like response. Oh, does he have this? Does he have that? Like acquisitional kind of things.
It was more, like what made sense.
Yeah,
and like more transactional.
It was William Shakespeare that introduced love being a factor into the Victorian age is what introduced love being a factor into picking a partner.
Yeah, I would even say now that both men and women are able to get, like jobs and, like of a certain quality and stuff. Now women, like it's not a thing where a woman is with a man because he provides for me and stuff like that. Nah, we care about emotions these days, and that's the thing, like, because you look at some of our parents' marriages and you can see where it was like she's with him because of the fact that he was able to provide for her, but they don't actually like
survival mode.
Love each other.
Do you feel like a marriage only thrives off love?
No.
No.
You using the word thrive is a factor there.
Okay,
but a marriage can sustain without like actual.
Do you think the two people need to love each other for them to?
There needs to be love there. I think
can they just be really good friends and be married?
They could be motivated. I mean, if they're really good friends and are married, they're probably in love. But I'm saying, I think there are households.
The feeling of love or the action of love?
The feeling of love.
The feeling.
Anyone can show love and not be in love with someone.
Well, I don't love my siblings or my friends every day, but I like them. Like sometimes they annoy me, but because I'm committed to them, I stay. Like, you know?
Right. So
I might have Gabe
so literally,
moment.
So that's what I'm saying. You can still be in a marriage with someone. So I like to just like.
You don't have to love somebody to be in a marriage with them.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we would hope.
Right. You would hope.
That's what we strive
because
for.
I feel like does everyone want to be married because of love? So, even in modern age, does everyone like still have that mentality where it's like, I want to get married because I love this guy, or do I want to get married because of the things that come with marriage, which is like children, or it could be like security. But love can be omitted, and they can be okay with that.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I was reading Sacred Search last year, and one thing the author said was that people marry for different reasons, whether it's business partnership, like we're both saved, but we want to build an empire together, like. We want to like run a company together. Some people are married for like, I actually love you. Some people are married for friendship. Like people have different factors, and it's okay because they're both believers, but they have different motives. Some people might marry like, I want to be the next power couple. Like I want to be the next Sierra and Russell, but we're both saved and we both love each other. But the main factor is like building an empire.
And we both have big assets.
Some people are married for ministry. Like we both want to do ministry together. I mean, missionaries together. And we're both.
Keep going. This guy's childish.
Childish. Go ahead though.
Hey man, God's good.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And so they get married. Like Heidi Baker and her husband, like they got married and went to do missions in Asia. So it's like people have different like motives, but it's not wrong actually.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay to not marry for love. You know, it just makes. I think it may make it harder depending on what your motivations are and stuff like that.
Hey, I love mine
because you got to choose to love that person every day.
I love mine too.
Choose to commit.
Choose to get along.
Yeah, well, I mean, you ain't got to get along. I mean, people could be in a house, separate rooms, and be married because they want. Whatever.
Right.
People's marriages are up to them. It's just, as believers, we just pray and ask for the continuation of your marriage as opposed to like divorce and stuff like that.
And a healthy one.
Yeah, man.
John,
I feel like all these questions could be an episode in itself, bro. Bro. But anyways, last question. I think that is Sam.
Yeah. So last question: Are we trying too hard to make Jesus cool to culture?
Are we doing? Okay, never mind.
Go ahead, bro. What you about to say?
No. I was going to say. Okay, that's the fourth question.
That's the fourth question.
Okay. No, because remember we had two options. Forget it. Never mind. No, it's cool.
I know.
No, it's cool. We could do that one. The one you suggested, Moses, about conviction. Yeah, obviously. You don't remember,
I think that I do remember that, but I feel like that's
right. So question number 4. Can you read it again?
So again, are we trying too hard to make Jesus cool to culture? What do you guys think?
I think. Yeah, I mean, no. You answer first since you.
I thought we don't. All right.
I mean, no. Lamine answer first.
Go ahead,
since you the guest. You know what I'm saying?
You think we're trying too hard to make Jesus cool?
I want to say yes and no. I sometimes feel like churches look to society to move the needle when it comes to what we're preaching, what we're talking about. For example, like when the pandemic first started, people were talking about everything but
the pandemic.
About
racism.
Yeah, about. Not like the pandemic time. Everybody needs to talk about faith and staying firm in your walk. People were scared about a corona initially,
right.
But I started talking about relationships, and I'm like, this is not what the people need to hear. Like people want to talk about love, but
what
it's
they
like
want versus what they need.
Yeah, like we need to talk about because people are really scared about the pandemic, and there's like people are moving with fear, but I feel like church were oblivious to talking about like just trusting in God and just knowing that you will come overcome this, and also like. We can't gather. Please be steadfast in your walk individually. I feel like they avoided that topic for a while until like people started dwindling from the church. Yeah. But then I do feel like like, for example, like Mike Todd, like how he was preaching in the water. Even though I wouldn't do that personally, I respect it because some people actually some people do find traditional teaching of like African churches to be like very monolithic and boring, and they need like theatric, and that's okay. Yeah. So that's okay to do demonstrations during a teaching. So I'm on the fence. Like, I'm not one to do it, but I see how it's helped.
Yeah.
For example, like my brothers, we all grew up in White Garment, and then I went to Destiny Harvest, but I eventually left to go to Glory Center. But my brothers, they go to Destiny Church now, and they love it. They like the demonstration, all that stuff, because it gets captures their attention, you know.
Yeah.
As opposed to me, I'm really like traditional, like I literally listen to like old white men, like old pastors, like John Piper, Robert Morris, like.
Theological.
Robert Morris is lit though, but
Leonard Ravenhill. I just old theologians, and I can actually focus better with stuff like that, as opposed to demonstrations. It kind of, I have a very short attention span, so for me, it's very distracting. But I respect it because it's reaching a body that needs part of the body that needs to be reached. So I don't think I think we are making him cool, but I respect it because it's like it's reaching a demographic that needs to be reached. That if we don't cater to them, can get lost. And we're trying to be all things to men to reach them. So for me, I'm just like, I'm with it.
I think it's just a problem when we exaggerate things. You know, like I said, I thought the Mike Talk thing was cool until it was like raining. Then I was like, I think him being in the water was like dope. Like I was like, oh, that's tough. Like kick around your water or whatever. But like when it started raining, I was like, this is you know, or just things, you know, like things they talk about, you know, like or whatever. When you try to exaggerate the Jesus experience, so you start adding details to your story or your testimony that weren't really what happened, but it's like now you're trying to add to Jesus. You know, and I think some people would say like, I think this new like digital age, just doing more on social media, I think that's fine because this is where we're at. That's the type of evangelism when you promote and have good graphics and stuff like that and video and all that stuff. Like, I think it's cool to do that because it's a form of evangelism and it's putting effort into it. I just think at some points we exaggerate.
I think it is, I don't even think it's necessarily we're trying to make Jesus cool. But I think that it is, because in a sense, not even in a sense, Jesus is already relevant no matter where you take him and put him, right?
Yeah.
So it's not even a matter of we need to make him look cool because that's not it. I don't even think that's what
people just want to look cool,
that's not how I look at this question, because I think that if Jesus is preached no matter where we're at, I think it'll be relevant to whoever needs to hear it. I think his stories are relevant. I think whatever he did was relevant. I think that he doesn't need to change himself to look appealing to our culture. In a sense, he is himself his own culture. Right. So I think where this thing comes into play is where we, as the people, like Sam said, try to appeal more to culture to get people like their eyes on them. Right. Yeah. And it's not necessarily let's preach this and whoever holds to it is who holds to it, and we'll continue to preach it, and whoever grasp it. But it's a matter of how can we get as many people as we can to hear this and keep them here. And the funny thing about it, I was listening to this amazing podcast called The Pastor's Pod by Jesus Culture, their podcast network. So real quick, they had somebody on this recent episode, and he said Jesus never gave people options. He basically said, like, to the man he told to go sell his things, he was like, yeah, go home and sell your things, da-da-da. The man walked away. Jesus was not, he was never like, yo, come back. This is what I actually meant. I meant, go sell this so that when this happens, I have your heart and you know that you're not. No, he just said, go sell this. Go sell your stuff. Right. And that's it. He not saying, all right, never mind. He's saying, do this. If you don't want to do it, oh, well. And I think that sometimes when we want to be so cool and so attractive to the culture, we do that second option, like, oh, no, what I meant was this. Like, come back here. You see this. Look at this. Look at that. Which, like Alami said, is not bad. It's not bad to have an illustration that, is something that, because I'm a visual learner, right? Yeah. I could sit here and look at whatever it is visually, and it hits a lot differently. There's nothing, like Gabe said, there's nothing wrong with illustrations, but I think it's when we try to, make it so appealing that we go out of the way, we even get away from Jesus himself to attract, instead of bringing people into our culture, we're going into their culture and trying to do that. So that's all I gotta say on that.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I feel like my issue that I have nowadays is like, it's kind of like almost the same thing Moses said. It's like churches being cool and then they give you a watered down Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, why do we try so hard to be cool just for people to encounter a Jesus that may not necessarily be the true Jesus? You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like, I don't know, I always try to put myself in situations where I ask myself, like, if Jesus was here now walking the earth, like, would he be about what we're about? You know what I'm saying? As far as like the optics and the aesthetics, like, does he care about haze and lights and, you know what I'm saying, projectors or screens? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and a lot of churches do it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not coming for any particular church.
Right.
A lot of churches do it, and it's just like, again, I know it's just like trying to appeal to certain people, and I get that. But at the same time, I just feel like there just always needs to be a balance. Like, I feel like if people are raving about a church because of how it looks aesthetically more than like the word itself,
good.
then
Their
I feel
lives
like,
being transformed.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel like that should be a red flag.
No pun.
You know what I'm saying? But again, it's just like, you know, people like I even seen people like they be posting like, oh, like my church just got this new, and I'm just like, yo, like why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that so important? Why does it matter?
Right.
Why is that even worth even posting? But who am I to tell people what to post?
Right.
But when I seen it, I was just like, yeah, like I felt like this is an issue.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, my church just got the new, don't. And I'm just like, okay, guys, cool.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? So that's always my issue, and it's just like, if we can find a way to balance both, where you can be a cool looking church. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, offer all the cool things, but then like I actually come to the church and I'm like, dang, like you go deep in the word and stuff like that. I feel like authentically, yeah. Then I feel like that's cool, but I feel like a lot of churches struggle with trying to do both because maybe a lot of the intentionality is being cool, or it may not even be the church being cool, but the people there being cool. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah,
It's
man.
when
Church
you
culture
start to-
nowadays is just you just got to be careful where you.
Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, you go
Go
ahead.
I'm gonna say when you're trying to be cool or like cater to the need, the wants of the people, you end up raising weak Christians that are not steadfast in their walk or even rooted in their word. And that's the point, to make disciples of all nations. So we have to be careful that we're catering to the building of the body as opposed to the aesthetics and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
I'm not knocking it down, but at the end of the day, when fire is testing our walk individually, you want everybody to, like, this pandemic literally wiped out many churches.
Yeah.
many Christians
Many
too.
Christians, like, the fact that we were separated, had to worship by ourselves, or seek God by ourselves and stuff like that. It really challenged people in their walks. And it's like, thank God I've been saved for a while that I didn't, when the pandemic came, it just made me actually more hungry and, fellowship more with my friends and stuff like that. But we have to be really careful when the fire is testing the quality of Christians, that their quality, their gold, made of honor.
Yeah. And I think it's, to wrap it up, I think sometimes when we try to make Jesus, quote unquote, look cool enough for culture, we start to manipulate how people see us. When we start to do things that
Distort the message.
Yeah, distort the message and just manipulate people's opinions of ourselves we show them a version of ourselves that isn't really us, to get them in, to tell them about Jesus. That's a lot of hoops we got to jump through. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something simple is keep the main thing the main thing. The means of having the smoke, the lights, and everything like that, it's not bad. But once they become the main thing, that's when, we're trying too hard. So that's why I think you just keep the main thing, and we're good. But yeah, and that's the 4x4.
4x4.
Yay!
And it's been an honor. Allow me
Thank you. After so many years, I'm finally here.
You know what I'm saying? It was worth it.
It was.
It was worth it. Go ahead, play
Great time,
yourself once again. Anything you want to share with the people?
You can find me on my podcast at Niger Girl Talks on Instagram at Niger Girl Talks, and in the bio is our link to our podcast platforms and stuff like that on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and SoundCloud as Niger Girl Talks. And stay tuned for more podcasts from me, and I hopefully will come back one day before the rapture to Project 330.
Girl, how do you spell Niger?
Wow.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Do that, please.
Naija. And of course, Moses will put it in the podcast notes, of course.
Podcast etiquette. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
And you can find me at alamide.yanda on Instagram
Hey.
for more sneaker content.
Honestly, bro, her sneaker, she do got a
game
good
is
collection. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the DM's open. Just say that again.
Ooh.
Slide in.
Yeah,
Shoot
slide
your shot. Hey, share your game.
Whatever game it is,
Bring your game.
Share it. But now that's the 4x4 episode, the Greater Podcast. You can find us on all of our socials, PROJ330. Once again, if you have a 4x4 question, please share it, on Anchor, through DMs, through email. Also, if you want to support the page, go ahead and do that through Anchor. We have the opportunity or the option there for you to support us in any way, monetary or just by review, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it may be. Share the episode, help us, grow, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And just impact whoever needs to hear it. But yeah, man, it's the Greater Podcast, another episode down, and we are
God bless.